What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today we're going to be talking about 5 unwritten rules for football players. So these are things that you absolutely want to avoid if you are a football player, whether that's youth, high school, or college. Then we're going to be getting into some current events. We're going to be talking about the recent news of Teddy Bridgewater being suspended from the high school team that he coached for just violating some, I guess you could say, code of conduct. I think it's a pretty ridiculous suspension. And then we're going to be getting into some comments that you guys left and questions that you guys left on a previous episode of this show. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get started. Now, fellas, the things we're going to be going over today are really things that I feel I wish I would have been told when I was first entering, I guess you could say, football, whether you're playing at a young age, whether it's maybe your first time playing football in high school, maybe you've been playing youth ball your entire life and you're getting into high school. These are things that just I wish I would have had maybe a mentor tell me, or somebody that maybe I looked up to who was more experienced in the football space so I could be better prepared. So I hope this is able to help. Hope you guys get some value out of this. But first unwritten rule, you guys, you should never miss practice, especially for vacation. So it's the summertime, right, when we're filming this. A lot of you guys are going on vacations, you're traveling, etc., and all that's great. And I think it's super important to do that stuff with your family if you have the disposable income to be able to do that with your family. However, if it comes at a cost of missing practice, again, you got to know what you're signing up for when you decide to play football, because football is played when you guys practice in the summer, getting ready for the fall. And the fall is when things are very, very real. You're entering your season, obviously. So that time in the summer is the time that coaches use to develop their players, develop their team, find out who their team actually is so they can go out there and win games, right? So I think a lot of guys, hey, coach, I'm going on vacation, so I'm going to miss this week, or hey, coach, I'm going to miss 3 days of practice because I'm doing this. Guys, you should never miss practice. You should never miss practice, and you should never miss off-season lift. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to this rule, right? So there are exceptions if there's a death in the family, right? Somebody in your close family passes away and the funeral takes place. You can only have one funeral, right? So okay, that's an exception. But if you guys are missing practice for that type of reason, or you're deathly ill, I'm talking can't even get out of bed. It's not a cold. The days of COVID are over, you guys. If you have a little bit of a cold, you still should go to practice. If you have a little bit of a fever, you still should go to practice. Even if you have a little bit of the flu, you should still go to practice. That's just my mindset, and generally that's most football coaches' mindset. I'm just trying to be real with you, because if you're missing practice for a little cold, you got the sniffles, you got a little headache, guys, all coaches are going to think is man, this kid's soft. I'm just trying to be real with you. I get it. Nobody likes to practice. Nobody likes to play when they're sick. But if you're missing practice time, guys, they can't play you. I remember in high school, the rule was that if you miss practice, you move down 2 spots on the depth chart. So I was a starting quarterback, right? If I missed practice, I was moving to 3rd string, and they held everybody to that standard. Did you get opportunities to earn it back? Yes, but for a player who's hyper competitive and wants to be great, that's super painful to have to be with the 3rd team and have to work your way back up. So just don't be that dude that misses practice. Now, again, if you do have to miss, if you absolutely have to miss, there's a way to go about it. Tell your coaches way ahead of time. It should not be a week's notice. It shouldn't be 2 weeks notice. I'm talking a month or more notice. Hey, coach, I'm going to be gone on these days. Maybe it was a family trip that you guys planned 3 years ago. There are circumstances. I get that, you guys. But if you have control of your circumstances, you should not miss practice. You should schedule appointments, trips, everything around your practice schedule. I get it sometimes that you guys maybe don't have the final say. Maybe your parents have the final say. But you need to communicate to them and be hey, listen, practice is really important to me. I need to be there, and we need to adjust our schedule around this. That's what I did with my parents, and they were very well receptive with that, as long as I came to them with respect, right? And I had to miss some family trips or maybe some weekend-long vacations because I practiced. That's part of the gig, and that's part of the job. But you need to make sure that you tell your coaches way in advance, and then you need to talk to them about, okay, listen, what am I going to miss? I will do this while I am away so I don't miss anything. What are we going to be doing in the weight room? What plays are we covering? And while you are away on vacation, you need to make sure that before you leave, you get your position coach's phone number. Let's say you're a receiver. Get the receiver coach's phone number. Hey, coach, I was wondering, I'm going to be missing practice, but could I get your phone number so I could text you and stay up to date with things? That's the best way to go about it, you guys, because they're still going to be upset that you're missing practice, but at least you're not falling behind from a skill level perspective. So that is ultimately what I would say. Okay, now, unwritten rule number 2, underclassmen need to earn it, and it is not going to be fair. So here's the thing, you guys. If you're an underclassman playing on varsity, right? freshman, sophomore guy, automatically seniors and juniors, or sophomores if you're a freshman, are going to have this stigma around you. You're the new guy, you haven't been through what they've been through, and I feel like a lot of young guys, like, you know, sometimes I blame parents, sometimes I blame the way social media is when we put these, like, you know, like 10-year-olds on freaking pedestals from the time they're 10 all the way till they go to high school, like, oh, this kid's amazing, oh, this kid's good, maybe you've started on all your teams, you know, you're a league MVP, whatever. Nobody cares when you get to high school. Just like how when you get to college, nobody cares if you were a 3-star, 4-star, 5, nobody cares. Like, can you get the job done and can we be successful? And that's the same mindset from youth players going into a high school program. So if you go in there with an ego or any type of entitlement, coaches are not going to like you and players on the team are not going to like you. And again, I'm just trying to keep it real with you guys. So you need to go in with the mindset like, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to earn the respect of my teammates and to earn the respect of my coaches. So what does that mean? That means showing up to every weight room session, not missing, right? Showing up to every weight room session, showing up to every 7-on-7 tournament, even if you're not getting a ton of minutes, even if you're not getting a ton of play time, showing up to every optional practice. Optional means mandatory. And then when you're there, making sure you're taking in the information, you're focusing on not making the same mistakes twice. Coaches understand that you're the new guy. They're going to understand that, okay, he's going to screw up, he's going to make mistakes, fine, cool, no worries. We just need to make sure that you don't make the same mistake twice. That's improvement, and you need to know your plays. And if you could do all those things, I'm a firm believer that you will start to earn that respect from coaches and players, and you'll have an easier time playing like early on in your high school career, okay? Now, unwritten rule number 3, playing hurt versus playing injured. Here's the thing, you guys. Being hurt and being injured are two different things. Football, we play a very, very violent game. Very violent game. And you know, all the rules that they've put in place, football definitely has been safer over the last couple of years, but what I will say to you is that if you have like, you know, like bruised ribs, you have like kind of a little bit of like a stinger, you have some like bruising on your leg, and you know, it's maybe tough to move around a little bit, but you still can move, you need to play through it. And listen, I know, as a trainer, sometimes that's a little bit shady advice, right? Because it's just like, well, like coach, like it could turn into a serious injury. For sure, totally fine. This is probably not good for me to say, but when I was in high school, it was an important year for me. It was my senior year, right? I didn't have a lot of junior film, so it was an important recruiting year for me, and I didn't want to miss any time. Now, I think it had to do with the rules in place, which is what motivated me to do this, but I'm 99.9% sure I got 2 concussions throughout my senior year of high school, didn't tell anybody, and still played through them. And that's nothing to brag about, because that's extremely dangerous, because there's something called second impact syndrome, where if you get a concussion and then you get hit in the exact same part of your brain, you could actually go like brain dead, right? So that was not smart of me to do. That was actually stupid of me to do, and I should have told somebody, and I maybe should have sat out. But here's the problem, you guys. In the NFL, a guy could get a concussion and be out for a week, and then he's back the following week. In high school at the time, I don't know what the rules are now, you had to sit out 2 weeks. So if I got a concussion in the first quarter, I missed that game, I missed the next game, and then I missed the next game after that. So I'm missing 3 games. So it was like, dude, I got to play through this. So I'm not saying to do that with a concussion. You should tell somebody if you get a concussion absolutely 100% of the time, because your brain's important and they're much more important things than football. But what I am saying is I saw a lot of players, man, their shoulders bruised, you know, they maybe tweaked their knee a little bit, but it's nothing super serious. The trainers cleared them, doctors cleared them, but they're sitting out the next week, right? And it's like, how do you expect, like, here's the thing. Number one, again, coaches are going to think you're soft. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of that culture in sports of like, oh, he's soft if he has to sit out. Because sometimes what that leads to athletes doing is exactly what I did. They have a serious injury, and then what they do is they play on it, right? And then that could lead to a even more serious injury, but they didn't want to be labeled soft, right? But I'm just trying to be real with you. High school coaches, for the most part, are all the same. I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of high school coaches. It is very rare that they're different dudes. They all have the same conversations. They all go through the exact same things. They all think the same exact way. So that's what they're going to think if you are sitting out while you're hurt. If you're injured, I'm talking a tearing something. I'm talking about you're a quarterback and you can't grip a ball, like a Joe Burrow type injury with his thumb. You know, maybe you like blew out your ACL, or you sprained your ACL, MCL, whatever. Like, that's viable. Like, you can sit out. That's totally fine. But if you're just a little bit hurt, hurt, you need to play through it. That's unfortunately the game we play because we play a very violent game, okay? So guys, please don't take that the wrong way, but I'm just trying to explain to you how coaches think and how you guys can kind of earn the respect of everybody on your team, right? Now, unwritten rule number 4, leaders on the team are themselves, okay? So you have to be like, and I know this is kind of like, you know, like Lifetime movie channel advice, but like you got to be authentically yourself or else nobody is going to like really follow you and like listen to you, right? Think of it like from, this is how at least I think of it, from like a dating perspective, right? Like let's say you're, you know, like something that I've been told, at least, maybe you guys haven't been told, but I've been told by like girls, like they're not so much more attracted to like the guys who like maybe like look a certain way, in shape. They're more attracted to guys who are like confident, right? That's why like funny dudes always end up with like an attractive girlfriend, right? Like it's like, what the hell? Like why, how is she with him? It's because he's confident, right? And he's like himself. That's the same thing when you're trying to be a leader on a football team, right? Like obviously different circumstances, but if you want guys to like rally around you, like let's say you're in a leadership role, like you're like a middle linebacker, you're a quarterback, you know, whatever, you're an upperclassman on the team and you want to take a bigger step leadership wise because you want to win, you got to be yourself. I see it a lot of times in high school sports especially, and again, because you guys are high school players, like you haven't figured yourself out yet. You guys are 16, 17, 18 years old, like you don't have it all figured out, just like how I don't have it all figured out, right? I'm only 24, like I don't have the world figured out, but like, and you learn, you make mistakes, and that's how you learn. But when you're that, like, if you need to hear this advice, if you want to be a leader, like if you're faking it, people are going to fish that out because people are a lot smarter than you think, especially high school kids, especially kids in general. So like, it's that same like, you know, thing, like we've all seen the guy, like you're in like the weight room at the team and like a dude who's normally like quiet is like, hey, everybody shut up, listen up. And you're just kind of like, bro, that sounds weird coming from you because he's not that guy. You know what I mean? Now, if you're not that like extroverted, loud dude, then you can lead other ways. You could be that dude who leads from the front. You lead by example. You show up every day on time. You show up and you get after it. You're getting after in the gym. You don't miss any reps. You don't miss any sets. On the field, you're the first one out there. You're constantly going full speed. You're pushing yourself during conditioning. Like that's a way to lead as well. So you gotta be yourself. If you're a more introverted guy, lean into that. If you're a more extroverted guy, lean into that. You could be that dude that's that rah-rah guy who kind of gets people fired up, but you just have to be authentically yourself or else nobody's gonna listen to you, okay? So I hope that makes sense, you guys. Now, unwritten rule number 5, you gotta love the lonely work. Okay, so this is the thing that I feel separates so many like great football players from good football players. At the high school level, youth level, you can kind of get away with natural athleticism. You can. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. There are some dudes that don't work out at all, and they're just 6'4", 225, and can run a 4.5, and it's just like what do I even, like how does that even make sense? There's just some guys like that. Not everybody though, and that's super uncommon, right? And most of you are at a pretty similar like physical level, physical standpoint, I should say. And like, how are you going to get the edge on that guy to be able to play? And that's loving the lonely work. That's the work when nobody's around, when it's just you and some cones, you in a field, you and a trainer, nobody else is there. It is very easy, you guys, to work hard at school. Very easy. Like you're doing all the same stuff. So your coaches, let's talk about the weight room, right? For example, your coaches put something on the board and it's like, hey, we're going to be doing 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, then we're all doing the exact same things. So there's really no way for you to get an edge up on anybody, right? On the field, you guys are all doing the same drills in the same practice. No way to get an edge up on everybody. But what are you doing away from practice? That's the lonely work. You got to love that stuff, man. If you actually want to be a great football player, you have to embrace the lonely work. Away from practice, you need to carve out time in your schedule. Everybody's got busy schedules. Everybody's got a busy life, but I'm a firm believer that you have at least 30 to 45 minutes. If you don't have a life. But if you have 30 to 45 minutes to carve out where you could be like, hey, I could be working on my route running. Hey, I could be working on my catching. Hey, I could be working on my blocking, and you dedicate that time, that gives you an edge over somebody who's maybe not doing that. What are you willing to do that they're not willing to do? And that's the definition of lonely work, okay, you guys? So fellas, those are the 5 unwritten rules of football. So now we're going to be getting into some current events. Then we'll be answering some questions that you guys left on a previous episode. But before we get into that, guys, if you are a quarterback or wide receiver watching this and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches, we released our first 3 cities that we will be coming to in in 2026. We're going to be coming out to San Francisco, California, Orlando, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona. So guys, if you want to sign up for one of those 3 camps, last year we went to those cities and they sold out before December. Okay, before December. So guys, go to that very first link in the description below. That is where you can sign up for our camps to make sure that you get a spot. Again, San Francisco, Orlando, and Phoenix. Very first link in that description below. We will be releasing the next 12 cities that we are going to at the end of next week. So again, guys, very first link in that description below. Let's get into some current events. So current event number 1 here. The Jets and wide receiver Garrett Wilson have agreed to a 4-year, $130 million extension per Adam Schefter, $90 million guaranteed. That's crazy, you guys. Like, okay, like I love Garrett Wilson. I think the dude is probably top 3 when it comes to pure route running. When it comes to pure route running, top 3 in the NFL. I'm just talking route running. But that amount of money for a dude who really hasn't done that much in the NFL, guys, he's an insane talent. I'm just giving a take here. But I'm telling you, like, that's a lot of money, man. And here's the thing, too. For those other receivers that maybe, like, outperform him a little bit, like, what's their next contract going to be like? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, Garrett Wilson, like, I mean, listen, a rough year. And the year before that, he didn't have a quarterback. And then his rookie year, I believe, was the year before that. He really didn't do too much. Like, he's got highlights for sure, but it's like a consistency thing, right? So I don't know if I would have paid him that much. That's just me. His agent is probably very, very talented. But again, that shows you the potential probably that they see in him. Because like Garrett, guys, like if you haven't watched Garrett Wilson like route running film, like I highly, highly recommend it. Like we've posted stuff on our page. I've been very public saying he's like top 3 in my pure route runners because the dude just moves differently. So I guess they see a lot of potential in that, which is cool to see. You know, at least they're buying into a guy that they like, but I don't know about that much money. Maybe they just didn't want to lose him, but that's all I'm going to say about that one. Now, this is the big story. Breaking head coach Teddy Bridgewater has been suspended from Miami Northwestern for reportedly giving impermissible benefits to his players. So here's what's crazy to me, right? And he was coaching at a school in South Florida, right? For any of you from South Florida, you guys know that there are some areas in South Florida that do not have a lot of, you know, disposable income. They're lower income areas, right? But there's great football talent out there, right? And so he was spending money on like, you know, like Uber rides to get players to practice because parents aren't home. He was spending money on recovery treatment for his players, just trying to give them a better opportunity to succeed. And he's not taking a paycheck. Guys, he's Teddy Bridgewater. Like he doesn't need a, you know, a $10,000 stipend from a high school, like to be able to pay his bills. Like the guy's got plenty of money, right? But them suspending him is ridiculous. And he tweeted something the other day where he was saying like there was no actual investigation, like this is ridiculous. If I end up not being able to coach, I'm just going to be a volunteer from the stands and do the exact same thing that I was doing. And nobody had a problem with him when he was like a volunteer, right? In my mind, he still is a volunteer. I think it's his prerogative to do whatever he wants, and I think it's ridiculous. Now, here's the other thing that bothers me, you guys. In Southern California, where I live, there are freaking public high schools, not private high schools, but private high schools do this too. They're literally paying athletes. In the city that I'm in right now, filming this video, there's an apartment complex maybe about like less than like half a mile from me. And what this really rich guy was doing was he was paying the rent for players to live here so they could go to the high school in this city so they could play with his son who was the quarterback and trying to give them a better season. Ridiculous, right? But that's okay, and everybody and their mother knew that that was going on, but Teddy Bridgewater can't pay for some Uber rides and some recovery treatment for the players on his actual team. And it's not like he was recruiting. He was trying to help out people who maybe don't have the funds to be able to pay for that type of stuff. Ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I hope they freaking let him coach again because I think Teddy Bridgewater's a great guy, and he's obviously a great coach, and he obviously knows what he's doing. So I think it's stupid. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. But all right, fellas, we're going to get into some questions that you guys left on a previous episode now. Now, fellas, here's the thing with these questions. If you guys have questions, stuff that you want to ask me, seriously, fellas, post it in the comment section below. I feature all of your guys' questions on these episodes if I feel like they're good questions and can give everybody some value. So guys, if you have stuff you want to ask me, please go to that comment section, leave a question. I'll get back to you. You know I respond to every single comment, and I'll feature you on an episode of this show, okay? So question number 1 from Eile's CUVG. Coach, what age should kids be settling into their long-term position? My kid, youth football is really the athletic with high football IQ kids used all over the place. When should we settle and focus on one position for that playing at the next level goal? I would say when you want to specialize in a position, I would say probably around 7th or 8th grade. But you got to hear me out on this. If your kid is like a wide receiver and they're also playing him at DB, have him play both ways. He can easily play both ways in high school. Now, if he's like a quarterback and also playing like linebacker, different story. If he likes quarterback, I'd probably keep him at quarterback because that's a position where you need to ultimately specialize. But for most positions, have him play both ways. Reason why I say this is because college coaches love athletes. They love guys who can make plays all over the field in all three elements: offense, defense, special teams. It is harder than ever for a high school kid to get an offer these days because of the transfer portal, JUCO rules. It's very, very hard. So the more plays he has on film, the more he can showcase that athleticism. I recommend he still plays both ways even in high school. I don't think he needs to ultimately specialize. Just continue to be an athlete, except for, of course, the quarterback position, okay? So I appreciate you asking that, man. Thank you very much. Next question from Hot Tamale 1834. Hey, Coach, I'm undersized and trying to put on weight, but I don't have a plan to gain proper muscle. What should I do? So really, if you're trying to gain weight, I would say focus on two specific things. Number one, you should focus on what you're doing in the gym. A lot of people will say like, oh, football players should only do athletic movements, lift like a football player. But if you got to put on weight, you got to put on size. You have to do those bodybuilding type exercises. So, doing the squats, doing the exercise for your back, your shoulders, maybe doing some curls, some bench press, stuff that's not necessarily going to make you a better football player, but is going to get you bigger. And the best rep range to lift in is an 8 to 12 rep range where you're pushing yourself to almost failure. I think that's the best way to go about it in the gym. Number two, you got to eat, man. You got to stay in a calorie surplus. You got to track how many calories you're burning. I don't care if you got to, invest in some type of Fitbit, Apple Watch. You could probably find something much, much cheaper. But track how many calories you burn every day, and you want to try to consume more than your break-even point. You're burning 2,000 calories a day. You want to try to consume like 2,800 calories a day. So you stay like 40% above that break-even line. And if you focus on those two things, seriously, man, I really think you will start to gain weight, okay? So I appreciate you asking that. Next question from Dylan Doanius. I hope I said that right. Hey, Coach, I got a question. Do you have any tips to be less nervous to ask coaches questions? I've been meaning to ask my coach about some things before the season starts, but I've been afraid to ask. Do you have any tips to help with that? So if you're trying to ask your coach a specific question, you need to make sure it's at the right time. If it's the middle of practice, heat of the moment, and you go up to your coach and you ask him something, he might get a little bit annoyed, might get a little bit upset, and kind of like not really give you much time. When practice ends, find your coach and ask him. When practice ends, maybe you go to the coach's office and you ask him, hey, coach, could I speak with you for a second? I got a couple questions about things. Wait for the emotions to go down before you try to speak and have a logical conversation with a coach. Because I tell you what, coaching, it's a tough gig, man. Like, guys get pissed off on the field. Like, there's a lot of emotions going. Maybe the head coach is giving them crap if he's your position coach. So just make sure you ask him at the right time. And then I don't really think there's anything to be afraid of, okay? All right, fellas, guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. Again, if you have questions, stuff you want to ask me, do not hesitate. Post those in the comment section below. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope this episode was able to give you some value. We'll see you guys next time.